Israel reinforces Gaza border as conflict rages on. Israel has deployed tanks and troops to its border with Gaza as it mulls whether to launch a ground operation in the territory after days of violence. Conflict raged throughout Thursday as militants fired rockets into Israel and Israel army maintained a barrage of airstrikes. More than 100 people have been killed in Gaza and 7 have died in Israel. Jewish and Israel Arab mobs have also been fighting with Israel, prompting the president to warn of civil war. Defense Minister Benny Gantz ordered a massive reinforcement of security forces to suppress the internal unrest, and more than 400 people were arrested. Two infantry units and one armored unit were positioned near the border with Gaza on Thursday. At least 7,000 army reserves have also been called out. No decision has yet been made on whether to launch a ground operation. The Israeli army is expected to put forward plans for a possible offensive imminently, but it would need to be approved by army chiefs and various levels of government. The 4 days of violence in Gaza and Israel is the worst since 2014. It was initially fueled by weeks of Israel-Palestinian tension in East Jerusalem, which led to clashes at the holy site revered by both Muslim and Jewish. This spiraled into an incessant exchange of Palestinian rocket fire and Israeli airstrikes. In other developments on Thursday, 3 rockets were fired from Lebanon into the sea off the coast of northern Israel. The Israel Defense Forces said no group said they were responsible, but several militant groups operate in Lebanon, including Hezbollah, which fought a month-long war with Israel in 2006. Israel military said it had hit targets in Gaza that included intelligence buildings and homes and businesses used by militants. The Palestinian militant group Hamas, meanwhile, fired further barrages of rockets towards Israel from Gaza, and a spokesman for the group said it had shown only a smaller part of its capabilities. Further violence broke out between Jewish and Israeli Arab groups in mixed towns and cities with Israel. International airlines including KLM, British Airways and Virgin Atlantic have suspended services to Israel. Incoming flights were also diverted south from Tel Aviv's main airport. According to Health Ministry in Gaza, at least 103 people have been killed in 4 days of conflict. Officials in the territory, which is controlled by Islamic militant group Hamas, many civilians have died, including 27 children. Israel says dozens of those killed in Gaza were militants and that some of the deaths are misfired rockets from Gaza. In the Israel city of Sderot, a young boy was killed when rocket fire from Gaza hit his home and shrapnel penetrated the shelter he was hiding in. Israel had also called up 10 reserve border patrol companies to help tackle the worst unrest between Arab and Jewish communities for many years. Political leaders have appealed for calm, and President Reuven Rivlin described the outbreak of rioting in several cities and towns as senseless civil war. There have been widespread calls for de-escalation, including from Israel's ally, the US, but little sign of the conflict easing. A senior Hamas official said that the group was ready for reciprocal ceasefire if international community pressure Israel to suppress military actions at the disputed Al-Aqsa Mosque in Jerusalem. However, Israel military spokesman Heba Jebardam and Israel was not seeking a ceasefire at the current time, the Times of Israel reported. So what's the feeling on the ground? The fear among civilians on both sides is taking its toll. Nawaz Sadiq, a Gaza mother, said on Wednesday night, "You cannot sleep in any moment of your home might be your grave. You cannot be secure. As a mother, it's very terrifying. It's very exhausting for my feelings, for my humanity," he told the BBC Today program. In Israel, an apartment block was destroyed in the city of Petah Tikva shortly after residents had gone to their bomb shelters. "We heard an alarm and suddenly there was a bang. Smoke entered the shelters and the neighbors next to me was sitting on a chair flew back," one resident told the news website Ynet. Thank you.